According to the MaintainX 2025 State of Industrial Maintenance Report, predictive maintenance adoption is decreasing at the same time as downtime costs are increasing. Nearly half of the maintenance leaders surveyed for the report said that their biggest challenge was a lack of resources, followed close behind by other hurdles like aging infrastructure and a shortage of skilled labor. As these issues continue to drag on maintenance departments, many are looking to technology for help. But once they've pinpointed the right solution, selling it to a team that's increasingly skeptical of new tools is the next challenge. Joining us today is Britt Bartolini, Account Director at MaintainX. MaintainX looks to help industrial companies increase equipment uptime, reduce costs, and boost frontline productivity with its leading AI-powered CMMS and enterprise asset management platform. Britt brings over 6 years of experience spearheading direct sales initiatives at MaintainX with a goal of optimizing workflow management for frontline workers. I was informed that your stepdad has been a maintenance professional for many years. So before this was ever your job, what did watching him work teach you about how these folks actually think? Something that maybe an outsider walking into a plant might actually miss.
Yeah, I think having him as my mentor has been really instrumental in that I've realized he acts more as someone who can diagnose what's actually going on the floor. There's a big push for sensors and OT devices, but he can walk up and tell you if it's a belt or a gauge or someone didn't run the proper PM. And those are parts when people miss when they're just walking around or looking at an asset being down. And I think it's really important to give them the power to diagnose the proper repair and then capture what's in his brain as he's diagnosing it so that others can learn from it. And it's been wonderful to see that transition across the field, not just in his plant, and leaning in more towards the diagnosis that maintenance leaders give as opposed to just the asset is down and we got to get it back up.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Okay, so when you bring MaintainX to a maintenance team, the hesitation is probably very real and usually potentially rational, right? So in your experience, where is it actually coming from? Is this about the technology itself? Is it a trust thing or something that's deeper about how maybe they've been burned before?
Yeah, I get this a lot from leaders trying to bring us onto the plant floor. A lot of times they say, they're scared of technology, and that's almost never the case, right? Especially after COVID. Most people know how to use apps and how to adopt technology. What they're skeptical about is being handed one more tool that was built for someone else's job that's supposed to make it easier to diagnose what's happening and help look at the life cycle of an asset. So for years, these systems were designed to bring in data, but they're leaving out the technician data. And the technicians are seeing it as just another task for them to do at the end of the day. One more data entry that they're reliable for, but also that nothing's going to come back their way after they input it. So at the end of the day, it starts to become more of a pencil pushing activity, for lack of better words, and they're not seeing the return. And then whenever adoption is low, they get blamed for it. So for me to come into the room and say, we're going to show you something that will help you collect better data on the floor and keep your assets running longer, they tend to roll their eyes a little bit. And that's, again, completely understandable.
Yes, definitely. And I like what you said back there. I think it is also a misconception that we hear a lot, that plant floor folks are resistant to change or they don't like tech. But I think you're right. I think it's just not always purpose-built for them. And that's what's being reflected there in that resistance. So, when you look at this skepticism, what do you think maintenance teams are actually right about when they're being skeptical, right? Where is their gut instinct to push back actually correct? And vendors just need to listen to that.
Yeah, this is a fun exercise I went through with my dad. He started to show me his work orders and he said, see, this isn't built for me, right? A lot of times technicians can look at a tool and think, clearly this was not designed by someone who's ever stood where I'm standing. And a lot of times they're correct. Going through his PMs, it was very difficult for him to get what he needed to do. And so they're suspicious of the promise that it'll only take a second to log a repair or talk to text, right? They're right if it doesn't work on a phone in a loud plant with gloves on, then it doesn't really exist. And so we spend a lot of time designing around that technician need. And I think this is one thing that vendors really need to hear. They're right if a tool takes away from them and gives nothing back. And we really got to keep that in mind when we're talking to the end user. It isn't just a tool. It's supposed to make your life better. And let me show you how I can improve just one thing that is a daily annoyance for you. And the lesson for anyone selling into this world is that adoption isn't really a training problem you fix after the sale. It's whether you respect them in the initial design of the product, and it's something they can easily pick up. And then you just train around that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I totally agree. So tell me a little bit about that light bulb moment for you on the job, right? When you watch somebody go from like arms crossed in the back of the room, not into it, to genuinely being bought in. What is flipping that for them? And was it ever what you expected?
Yeah, I oftentimes will lead with a grumpy Paul story, who is my stepdad. And not because he's actually grumpy, and not because anyone in the room is grumpy, but because it makes everyone soften a little. They know there's someone in the room who has their arms crossed, not to be rude, but is just not buying it yet. And what is going to flip him isn't my pitch of a whole software suite of features, right? What is going to be the aha moment for them, again, is that one little thing that solves something that annoyed him or her for years, right? Not being able to claim a part in the crib, or not being able to predict out what parts are going to be needed for our shutdown in July, and someone had to spend hours making a spreadsheet on it. Whenever you see that little light bulb lean in and they just go, you know, you did something right. You get the little tingle in your spine. You're like, okay, Paul, tell me why you went, what actually annoys you? And some of the best conversations in the room have never been when I'm leading it. It's when they all lean in to listen to what Paul has to say, because he's been there for 30 years and he tells a story of how awful it was for him to claim that part, and how this would actually save him 20 minutes every day and he could actually do his job. And that's whenever you can lean back a little bit and say, okay, now how can we grow that up the chain? By being able to claim a part better, we can keep better inventory in our crib and we're not keeping excess. And we can reduce our MRO spend by $250,000. And we can then be able to reallocate those funds into updating equipment. And then the CFO leans in. And it all started with that little aha moment from a grumpy Paul in the room.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and it doesn't have to be an either or. It either works for the financial side or the shop side. It can do both, which I think is a great message. Yeah. Okay, so lastly, Britt, if you could put one message in front of every software company trying to sell into this world, what would that be?
Yeah. Build for the person holding the wrench. Build for the person clocking in at 4 a.m. and leaving at 2 and not wanting to stay a minute later to fill out your annoying PMs. That's it. If you can get that right, everything else follows. If you get it wrong, it doesn't matter how good you are at demoing, how great and fancy all your features look, because the people who have to live with your product every single day will find a way around it. And they've been creative this long so far. So make sure that they trust that what you are selling them is going to solve a problem for them.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's a great place to leave. So, okay, thank you so much, Britt Bartolini with MaintainX. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you.